Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Shadow Hearts. Last time, we found ourselves a rude hero, a damsel in distress, and a villain. Not bad for the first episode. This time, we're going to acknowledge the sluice gate, and after making sure to have saved ahead of time, we would like to begin by talking to this thing. And it's a handle. Yeah, we got to get a handle for it. So in order to get a handle, we need to go check out one of the two shinies. If you go to the bottom handle, you get what is called a push ring, and the ultimate prize for which is a leather belt. If you go to the top one, it is a normal ring, and you get a bandana. Bandana is 2 defense, and the leather belt is 2 physical attack. The push ring is drastically easier. They actually give you a pretty hard one early in the game, so I'm going to go for that one. Not to mention, I want the leather belt as opposed to the other one. Do note that you can't really fail this. You'll fail it multiple times, and eventually Alice will give you a hand. It also impacts the treasure that you can get out of it. The first time you get those good prizes I mentioned. On subsequent times, you'll get basic items, mana leaves, thera leaves. And one comment on GameFAQs says if you fail it enough times that Alice helps you and then you get it, you can get a lottery ticket. I haven't tested that and I can't confirm it, but if somebody else wants to chime in the comments, if they happen to have done that, that's more, all the power to you. I'm working off a 100% treasure list and they didn't mention anything about it, so I'm guessing it's not true, but I don't know for sure. All right, so the idea here is a normal ring is very much like the normal rings that we do in battle. Typically, they're based off of Yuri's rings. A push ring is something that you have to continuously press the button and then make sure your cursor is in a select area by the end of the time limit. I believe this one is a 10-second timer. The best way that I've found to doing these is to mash the button at the start and then slow your mashing over the course of the timer so that you're not overshooting it. Because what can happen is if you tap it too fast, you'll overshoot it and then it'll stop at the end of the ring and you won't know when it's going to start going back. And of course, at the end of the ring is not the spot you want to be at. That's not the winning number. So basically, I'm just mashing here. And basically I just slow down at the end. I didn't mash very hard on that one anyway, but basically the idea is if you mash, a lot harder at the start and then gradually slow down, you'll be able to kind of maintain your cursor in the right spot. The significance of getting the items good or bad here is negligible in the long scheme of things, but it's something that I can use as opposed to a mana leaf or a thera leaf, which I really don't need. We got the sluice gate handle. Excellent. The reason why I said to save is if you don't get it on your first try, you don't get the good prize. So, okay, we'll have another random battle, sure. And we've seen these particular enemies before, but I don't think there's anything else really that I need to show off when it comes to battle. Not right away anyway. Basically, we're just going to try and keep our characters, dealing some damage and try and get a few levels. The spider can inflict the poison status, which really isn't a big deal at this point in the game. But, I actually got a nice on one of hers. I almost never do. Would you stop missing? Man, she misses a lot. If you get, I guess, nices or all of the blue lettering there on the ring, you'll get what is called a perfect. And I'll show you when I actually get it. I'm still getting used to kind of the timing. There's slight variances having the recording software in because it locks me at 30 FPS. If you are playing this, don't try and lower it to 30 FPS. It's not going to help matters. But I don't have proper recording software that records in 60 FPS. And I am sticking with Camtasia because it works for me in almost every other respect. So, speaking of the more technical side of things, you may notice that the graphics are kind of on the grainy side. It's not too bad, and in fact, I think it actually works well for this game. I've had to use the software rendering mode in PCSX2 as opposed to hardware, which is what I did in Grandia 3's LP. So we don't have, you know, an increased resolution like we did there to make the graphics look better. However, in this particular game, it really doesn't matter because the dark atmosphere of the game and the grainy graphics actually work well together. It's only in Grandia 3 that I thought it made a huge difference to make sure that we at least showed that. After we do that all correctly, we can go and take a rest over here. At least one other thing of note here is if you are playing on PCSX2, you have to go to the EE/IOP settings in your emulator and set clamping to full in order to not have the previous cutscene that we had in the last episode, the quote-unquote slightly rapey scene with Yuri and Alice. The characters won't even show up. They'll be invisible and you won't be able to do anything because you can't trigger anything. I think technically they're still there, but you can't see or hear any of their actions. I'm not even sure if you can control them, but I couldn't make it work. So if you have any questions on that, the PCSX2 compatibility list will give you the information you need. Check the wiki link when you're in there, and that should have all the information you need. Now, one thing I do kind of want to go over that I kind of glanced over in the first episode was that opening cutscene that we got, I think, 3 lines of text over that newspaper, which I'll be showing on screen. As you can see, it basically says that a priest was murdered and his daughter is missing. That's probably not important. Nah, just fine. No big worries about that. And yeah, the girl's all asleep here. Would you stop? Yuri, what is wrong with you? I had actually intended on using a clip from the anime Gantz because of how kind of creepy Yuri's being. You know what? Sure, we'll throw that in now.
DB and BD equals 2. And since triangle BAD is an isosceles triangle, it also follows that its base angles are equal. So BDA equals BAD. Therefore, BDA
Teacher!
is... Yes.
Corona's got a hard on.
Man, you're such a horn dog! Is making it with a girl the only thing you think about?
It's basically just for comedy, and it's really, really stupid. The anime's kind of weird, but the level of horndoggery is pretty similar with the two at the start of the anime and the game, respectively. And the reason why I brought up the other clip earlier is, of course, because, yes, she's dreaming about her father, and she might be the person they were talking about, the missing daughter. Maybe. We don't know yet. But this is an RPG, so it's probably going to be her. Well, probably because you have crazy voices in your head.
I have voices in my head.
Yeah, probably. Oh. I like that audio cue. It just sounds really off-putting compared to the other music we've been listening to. Oh. Who are you? We have Foxface. Okay. Oh, speaking of fathers, Foxface is your father. Okay. What's going on here? I have no idea. Come to visit, boy. Souls of the monsters you've killed are quite lonely, you see. Well, that's interesting dialogue. This woman's power! Strange, mysterious girl? Of course she's got random, magical, unexplained powers. It's a JRPG! Oh. Well, that's unsettling, to say the least. Gate of Darkness was closed. And this woman is causing it to open. They called me boy. You sure say a boy a lot.
Boy, boy, come boy, 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 wait for me, boy.
Yeah, so does he. Devour your very soul. Oh, he's teleporting. He's got some powers.
Stay away from the summoner!
Stay away from the damn summoner. Or stay away from me. Either way. I like how they give me 2 opportunities to use that clip right off the bat. The game's just started and I already get to throw clips around like crazy. When I was doing my test run, I was going through this area, I was like, man, there are so many opportunities for clips around here. His first move, and I believe he always gets the first attack, or at least in my case, he always gets the first attack. He uses SP lowering, which means it lowers your SP. If you notice down in the bottom right there, we can no longer fuse into anybody. So we're just gonna have to go out with our normal attacks. So there's an example of a perfect. I managed to time that all correctly. As you can see, this guy's got some good defense. We're doing Alice levels of damage here. And he's doing Yuri levels of damage. Great. I'm not going to go for perfects every time, just because it's unnecessary. See, there's a strike. It's basically a critical attack there. Every time it says strike, it's basically like a critical. Your move is question marks. What exactly are you doing? You're attacking me with Bubble Beam. Ow! That hurt. Well, that's... I should probably heal now, shouldn't I? That seems weird. So if you get perfect on item rings, you get some additional healing out of that. Not that it matters at this point in the game. If you wait long enough in this fight, he transforms into the Death Emperor. He's supposed to be Yuri's father, so I guess it makes sense that that he would have similar abilities. Oh. Well, I guess that's game over again. Signing off from the second episode. No. Yeah, that's kind of weird. You don't have to heal there. It's a battle you're guaranteed to lose. He drops you to 1 HP. He transforms. He hits you with instant death. Death Messenger, I don't think, has a guaranteed chance at instant death, but it does have a chance of instant death. So, yeah. The music here is off-putting, creepy, and just oh so perfect for the visuals. I love it so much. It's like your dreams. I don't really want to be in your dreams considering what I'm seeing here. This looks like a haunted... Are those tombstones? Is this a haunted graveyard? What can't you believe? If it's an illusion, it's pretty lame if it's an illusion. If you can't tell, then it's not that lame. I see a glowing thingy. The graveyard from my dreams. I don't want to be remembering this. That's the part where I get lost and then wake up in a cold sweat. Oh, as a monster's about to eat me, that's even worse. Nothing but trouble. For whatever reason, I don't remember hearing or reading dewy-eyed as kind of a reference, you know, to being teary. And I just find that just interesting writing because I just haven't heard that kind of metaphor being used before. So I appreciate. I approve. If that's what you want, you're in the wrong game, buddy. Saving damsels in distress in video games usually doesn't lead to that. At least until later in the game. If you remember most JRPGs where our lead hero saves the girl, and by the end, you know, Mario and Peach and Zelda and Link and everyone always ends up together because why not? And he got himself depressed. Not that depression is funny, but you know what I mean. I don't have the item yet, do I? No, I don't. You are automatically healed, so don't worry about that. This doesn't have to be done now, but it has to be done before you can leave. Almost as if they're alive. Wouldn't it be hilarious if all the monsters I've killed started crawling out of these? No. Stop that. Go to this one. We didn't have to go to the other one there. Seal of Earth. Huh? Oh, yeah. You just get thrown into a battle. The start of this game really isn't friendly to newcomers to the game, and they don't give you a lot of time to acclimate yourself to the system before just throwing you into 2 battles in a row that you can't win, and then another boss fight by yourself that you must win. I actually don't know what happens if you get Kamo free here, to be quite honest. I don't know if you can or not, but it's never happened to me. Basically, transform and then go all out. If you're trying to find your timing on the ring, go for trying to get the strike zone on your what's the word I'm looking for here? Try and get it on the first hit, because the first hit does the most damage. As I said before, the first hit tends to do about double the amount of the subsequent 2 hits. So if you're going to get one of them, you know, do more damage, you probably want it to be. I couldn't find, I was looking after I recorded the last episode, I looked for the figure. It was in a GameFAQs post somewhere and I couldn't find it. I looked for 25 minutes, I couldn't find the damn thing. So I gave up. So what he's done there is he's increased his physical defense. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Dark Messenger. Oh, and I missed. Now, if you miss, luckily, the game is really nice to you. I didn't use any of the MP that I would have consumed. Ah, I was hoping for the... that's the reason I missed. I was trying to go for the perfect there. But yeah, once he raises his physical defense, you probably want to go for the magical attack. It's not required. You can still kill him with physical attacks, but... we got a Fusion Soul! As you might guess, this is kind of a tutorial. They're introducing you to a concept that you're going to see throughout the rest of the game. Suddenly I feel awful. Uh-oh. What's happened? Violent impulse wells up inside. Perceive the soul of Tigerion, or Tigerion. Tigerion? Pronunciations, not my specialty. So they'll give you a little tutorial on how to equip souls. You go into equipment, select Yuri, select soul, and you can switch to different ones. Now, if you take a look at the stat changes, anytime you fuse with a soul in battle, you gain some additional stats compared to your other ones. If you can kind of take a look there, our stats go up by a reasonable amount versus not having one on. It's not enough to really fuse into anything unless you specifically need to do a magical attack in a normal battle. It's almost always just for boss fights, but you know, you can play around with that however you long. It just takes too long for, in my view, to transform in random battles, and the extra damage and stats usually aren't necessary there. The one that I like early on in the game is actually Raging Tiger. It's got the higher physical attack value. It's also got higher defense. It has less special defense, but for the most part, I'm not going to be using special attacks with Yuri because he's somewhat of a physical monster. For, you know, lack of a, well, I guess not lack of a pun, but for a pun. So I will be using that. So actually what I want to do is I want to put Death Emperor there. I want to put the tiger up top since I'm going to be transforming into that one most of the time. As you can see by the other tombstones, we're going to get more than just an earth elemental one. Yeah, by the way, they have elements. Nope, soul. So that one's earth. Hit this. If you hit the triangle button, it will show you different things. I'll get into what a Harmonixer is in a moment here, but it lets you see the different abilities that you can do. So we have Moonhell, which restores some HP. We can raise a shield like we saw this guy do when we fought him, and we can use Flying Stones, which does a magical based attack. And over here, we can do basically some of the same things. Drain Wave takes a small amount of target's MP. I've used that once in my test run, and I probably won't use it all in this run because it's not very good. But anyway, in order to progress, we need to go over here and look at a door guarded by masks.
Smoking!
Okay. Nope, there's another boy. So yeah, a Harmonixer is the term they deem him in this game. In subsequent games, it is retranslated as a harmonizer. Whatever, they translated it weird in this one. Doesn't really matter. Damned us to eternal hell, huh? Sounds like something Yuri might do. Okay, so what are we afraid of? Your heart understands full well. Okay. Reflecting my own darkness, huh? Don't have much to say to that one, do you? You'll notice each of the masks has a different name. That won't become particularly important until close to the end of the game, or at least the second half of the game. We'll say that. The more enemies we strike down, the more we become saturated with venomous malice, born of their vengeance. When the limit is passed, so then shall he be reborn into the world of the living. The man, the very thought of whom makes you shrink in terror. Oh, that one. His dialogue is... what's the word? I had a phrase for that. My manager at work has kind of a similar... it's not the same. It's colorful but crude, his language. That's kind of how I've dubbed it from work there. Because a lot of things you say, it's like, no one would ever refer to it that way. But that is so creative at the same time. And so crude. Why would you say that? But anyway, I can handle one of those two with a flick of a finger. Yuri likes throwing out the insults. I haven't seen like the original Japanese script, nor can I read Japanese, but the one thing that I could imagine is that he is a little more kind of vulgar with some of his terms based on kind of how they've done this game. It's a rated M, so I would guess if they were going to do too much more vulgar, they probably would have put it in, but unless it was like too much or something like that. But out for revenge for my parents. Oh, we'll get some background. Wants to believe his father's still alive, huh? Really starting to piss me off. Sorry if I went through that a little quickly. Do I need to pull out the clip again from Dad of War? We're doing a lot of boys around here. To sweep away the accumulation, for whatever reason I always struggle on that word. To sweep away the see what I mean? I tried to reset. My brain still can't do that. To sweep away the accumulation of malice, you must do battle. This is a mechanic that's going to happen throughout the game. When you fight an enemy, you will gain a basic 2 points of malice for each enemy that you fight. Once you've gained the points of malice, you need to get rid of the malice before it reaches 100. At level 1 or at 100 points of malice, you'll end up randomly coming into battle against Foxface in place of a regular normal encounter. If you run into Foxface, well, we'll see how that's gonna go. I do plan on demonstrating it because I haven't actually seen it myself. I always just get rid of the malice. However, the malice does have a mechanic. As you fight these guys, Evil 1, 2, 3, and 4, you will get items after battle against them, depending on what, how many points of malice you've built up over the course since the last time you cleared it out by coming here. Now, the first time, I believe you always get a Thera-Leaf. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've always gotten a Thera-Leaf. Subsequent times, there's actually a list that's been compiled, and I'll try and remember to link this in the video description, to post on GameFAQs that has a list of all of the different items you can get. Any of the bolded ones on that list are one-time only items, and they are special. For the most part, there's no real need to go out of your way to try and collect any of the items that are in there. But at the same time, if there's one that's really easy to get, I would recommend you pick them up because they're at least useful. So yeah, he holds a talisman. I think it's in our key items. I'll try and demonstrate that. But yeah, it's all kind of clued into this. Too early to get cocky. Purification is only temporary. We're going to have to come back here over and over and over again throughout the game. After showing each of the variant enemies that we can see here, and they're all pretty nondescript, boring, pointless enemies, then I won't be showing off coming back here because for the most part, the items that you get are generic. They're Thera-Leaves, Monoleafs, and Pure Leafs. But as I said, there are a number of special ones. I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 of them. And you get a different item for each individual point of malice you build up. Now, as I said, you get 2 points for each enemy that you kill. So how would you get anything that's not in a multiple of 2? Well, there's a bonus depending on how many enemies you kill. And in addition to that, well, we're talking about something that is more frightening than death, being resurrected, so that's scary. I'm not going to run forever, no. Come here in death. Enough. Shut up, I'm out of here.
Boy.
Alright, more clips because they keep saying boy. I have actually not played any of the God of War games. I thought they might be interesting, but they're also like the quick time event thing kind of bugs me. I'm not particularly into that. When I watch a cutscene, I usually put the controller down and I want to just watch a cutscene. It's one of many reasons why I only got about 2 or 3 hours into Final Fantasy 13 too, and I said, fuck it. Let's see here. So what I want to do is we can't check that right now. Can I go into here? No. Okay, so I can't access it from here. But basically, do I have any way of looking at that right now? No, I don't. I will have to clarify that once we get out. Ease. Wake up. Somebody's saying something. Yuri, open your eyes. Wait a minute. Is he dreaming? Why are you so worried about the creepy guy who keeps hitting on you in a very creepy way? Why are you worried about him not waking up? Is there a monster there that you need, him to protect you from? Because other than that, I don't see why you're so worried about someone you just met, especially considering his actions so far. He's back. Who's he? Talking about your dad again? Mumbling about masks and malice. None of your business. I'm getting Final Fantasy VIII flashbacks. Didn't Squall say that a hell of a lot? And whatever, a lot. How long was I out? Only a few minutes, huh? Nothing to worry about. Ever since I was a kid, always full of nightmares. Considering what I know about the plot, that's not surprising. Also, I'm not sure when you learn how to turn into a demon, but yeah. Okay, as I was about to say here, when we go to the graveyard icon from the menu, we'll be able to see that we have basically an amount of experience toward each element. This is also determined by the type of enemies that we kill. We'll get a different 1 point, typically, for most normal enemies, into each element depending on which element of enemy we've just killed. As you can see, we have 4 into wind and 4 into earth, because the enemies we've killed so far are either earth or wind based. I believe it does accumulate over from before. You'll also notice we have a malice meter over in the bottom right. It will be blue, then I think it goes to teal, green, yellow, and when it finally hits red, it only hits that once you've hit 100 malice. That's when you are in trouble. In order to get into how to get away from, 2 malice, how to not be a multiple of 2 when, in terms of the amount of malice you have, I don't want this fight. Okay, there we go. That took like 4 or 5 attempts. That really shouldn't have taken that long to find an encounter with 2 enemies. So the basic idea here is the amount of enemies in the fight will also add another value kind of to the amount of malice you get, and it's rounded in a strange way. It's rounded in a way, well, it'll be easier. Did she kill something? Aww, I was hoping she would kill something. Knockback is a status in this game. It'll knock you back from the front row to the back row. In the back row, it doesn't do anything. But yeah, the explanation, I've hemmed and hawed about it. It makes a lot more sense once you see this screen. Now, you'll see the stars on the dark one and the earth one. The amount of stars determines how the numbers round up. So typically when you fight enemies, you'll get, well, for pretty much every enemy, you get 2 points of malice for each enemy you fight. Though the other aspect is if there's, say, if you have level 2 in terms of the amount of stars you have, and you can get 3 stars on each of the different elemental affinities in terms of soul energy here. So if you have only 2 of them, then your bonus on 2 enemies will be 0. In fact, if you only have 2 stars, your bonus on any amount of enemies will be 0. So you know exactly how many soul points you're going to get. If you have 3 stars, so once we've got enough experience with, say, wind, once we get up to 30 points of wind, we'll be able to battle the guy at the graveyard there. Words are escaping me. And then we'll be able to unlock him. Once we have 3, and we fight a battle with 2 enemies, we will get a bonus point. If, say, we had, let's say, 10 stars, 10 different stars, we can get up to 3 per element, and we fought a battle with 3 enemies, we would get 4 bonus points, in addition to all 4 of those enemies each giving us 2. So we would get, 12 points for that one battle. Into malice. So you can see later on, the more we level up, the more often we're going to have to go and get rid of it. But they throw another mechanic into that also makes it so we don't necessarily have to go, and I'll get into that much later in the game. But one of the rare items that we can get from malice, by the way, graveyard can only be accessed on a save point. It's the only time you can go in there. But if you want to get a specific item, you need to kill 2 enemies, because for having 4 points, can you go up the stairs, please? Thank you. for having 4 points, we can get a specific item. I'm not going to go out of my way to do this all the time, but I do also want to show off all the different enemies, which means there's going to be, here's Evil 1. We want to show Evil 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 different variants. And the reason for that is there's actually an item to be gained from getting, at least viewing every single enemy in the game. So I'm going to want to demonstrate that for you guys. With these battles, you don't even need to worry about transforming. They're really, really straightforward. You missed. It's very unlikely that you'll die. I believe the amount of damage and the stats that these evil guys have is something that scales with Yuri's levels. Did you stop missing? I don't remember missing that much in this game. Come to think about it, I was saying that you don't miss if you succeed properly on the Judgment Ring. But the thing is, I've already viewed otherwise. Why did I had heard that in my research for this game, but it doesn't seem to be quite true. These enemies are, I believe, non-elemental. You don't get any soul energy for fighting them, so don't worry about that. The item you'll be gotten at this point. You'll wait on the screen far too long. And then eventually they will give you a special item. Typically, like I said, it'll be a Thera, Mana, or Pure Leaf, but if you get specific numbers, you can get some specifically good items. The seals are items that basically they're like the tabs from the Chrono games, or they're like sources from Final Fantasy VII. They permanently increase your stats, by a set amount. I think 1 to 3 points. I think in the menu it's by 1. If you use them in battle, you can get either 2 or 3. It's very difficult to use in battle. I'll be waiting until I get some specific items before I try and do any of that. But anyway, now that I've done that once, I'm probably going to leave the Malice alone and let it build up and build up and build up until we get kind of all the way to the end and it goes red, because I would like to show you what happens when we run into the other enemy that we're supposed to be able to run into when that happens. Foxface. So anyway, long explanations aside, that's pretty much all for this one. I know we haven't moved very far since the last episode, but I did want to go over a lot of the tutorial aspects of things. Once we kind of move through that, which we've pretty much done, the rest of it means we can actually advance the game, and we're going to be going kind of full forward and do a lot of story coming up. There's some dungeons, some story, some new characters, and yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff coming up. I like the beginning of this game quite a bit. There's a lot to do. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of tutorials, but once you get past them, it's a lot of fun. So anyway, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.